everybody. As a preparation for our embroidery, appliqué, and all those classes that are coming the next few weeks, I want to give you a little video tutorial how to prepare your embroidery threads in a way that is most efficient and easy to use. For that, you will need like a variety of embroidery threads that we have here. Like I have all grays and blacks and whites, and then some scissors, and we also need some salt and pepper shakers or whatever you have at home that is sturdy enough, kind of heavy enough so it doesn't slide around too much when we do something with it. So I will put them here on the table about like that, about like one elbow length apart. So the reason is that when we embroider, we usually have a sewing needle or an embroidery needle and a piece of yarn. That piece of yarn should never be longer than your elbow length. And the reason is, let's say you have a really big project and you need to embroider like with a very, very long thread. But the problem is if the embroidery yarn is too long, it goes through your fabric too many times, and so it gets really dull and ugly looking. If it's too short, you have this starter and ender piece, too many times, and so then you have a big mess at the back side of your part of your work. So in German we have this little saying, langes Fädchen, faules Mädchen. So that means long thread, lazy girl. So if you do the thread too long, you are considered to be really lazy. But I'm more concerned about the embroidery yarn getting dull. So in order to maintain kind of a consistent length of embroidery yarns, you will do a little braid. And I'll show you that, and I also teach you how to braid something just in case you don't know how to do that. So at first we have a variety of yarns, and it can be all the colors you want. You can make a really big braid. I wouldn't suggest that too much, but whatever you want. It also can be a braid made of all the same colors. It doesn't have to have a variety of them, depending on your project. So what we want to do first, we will put two objects elbow length apart on a table, and then we will remove those little paper tags here and kind of start undoing those. So you see they are basically round here. So I will start at one end, so I'll just put my salt shaker on top of it, have about 4 inches extra, and then I very loosely just wrap this around. It really does not matter at all in which sequence you do that. It's also interesting that each company does a little different wrapping around those things. Some are tied at the end, so that's where your scissors come in very handy. Just cut that. And again, I have a starter piece that I have a little longer than the rest, and then I go around. If you have, those knots here, never really pull, because that's what we do not want. We don't want to have knots in our thread. So I'd rather keep it as loose as possible and try to untangle it. Tangle, tangle, tangle. Just see where those things go and where they come from, and then you can really do that very easily. Just have some patience. It's a good thing to do while you watch a movie or listen to some music or entertain somebody. It really depends on the company of those different threads. Some do the winding up a little different than others. Some are easier to unwind and some are really a pain. But, all in all, it's okay. So now I'm at the end. I have everything wrapped around really well. And as I said, it's about an elbow length apart. And now I will show you how that whole braiding thing works. So I will put my pepper shaker like here. And I will remove the second one, my salt one. So I have like quite a few different length threads hanging from here, and that's totally fine. Sometimes you really only need like a very short piece. You can always cut that off later and whatnot. So, but what we want to do here now is we want to cut opposite from the pepper shaker. We want to cut all those threads open. Separate those, and then we want to start with the braiding. And the braiding has to be very loose, so don't make a tight braid. So we want to have it really very loosely, like you'll see in a second. So first of all, I will separate my threads in 3 pieces, like a thicker one here, a thinner one. Then the thinner one, I will double up with another thinner one on the left side. So I end up with kind of like 3 bunches that are kind of similar. You know, it don't count, or it does not matter. It should be about the same size. And then, as I said before, very loosely, braiding means I take the outside one and I will lift it over the middle one. So now my previous outside one is the middle one. Now I take the left one, the left outside, go over the middle one. Now this previous left outside is my new middle one. Then I take the right outside across the middle one. Left outside across the middle one. Right outside across the middle one. Left outside across the middle one. You see? And here it starts the braid really nicely. So you just continue doing that. Coming towards the end here. In order to not undo the braid, you can do the end a little tighter. So now really have the last few ones very tight. So that's why I hold it in my hand and I go, you know, the left outside across the middle one, right outside across the middle one, and do a few of those just at the end. If you do, you know, everything right from the start, it will get too tight and we cannot pull. So that's why I only do it towards the end. Another option would be, if you keep it loose, take one of those extra threads that we have here that are kind of a little too long and just tie them around the end. So that's another option. And here I kind of do both. Tie them with a little loopy thing. At the end. So this is basically my embroidery yarn braid, and the nice thing about is now whatever I need, you know, whichever yarn I choose, I just, well, let's say I choose a white one. So I take it here on my loop side and I just pull it out very easily. And so I have the perfect length, elbow length from my fingers so that I can use. So one more thing about those embroidery yarns. And they are, as I said, different qualities, different individual thread counts. So this one here, for example, is made of 6 individual threads. So if we look closer, you know, you can see that there are 6 individual threads spun together. Depending on what we do, which kind of embroidery, which kind of beads and sequins and whatever we use, you know, like some are thicker, they have bigger holes, some fabrics are a little rougher, so we want to maybe do a double, so we use 2 of those. Others are very thin, so we only use an individual one. Sometimes you want to use the whole thing, so all 6 of them, that's also fine. It really depends on the project, it depends on many things. First the fabric you use, and then what embellishments you put on, what kind of needle you use, and so on. So once you have your thread here and you want to do, let's say, a single one, so then you you separate the single one out, have 5 on one side and 1 on the other, and then very, very slowly just pull it apart. And you see the rest of the thread just hanging from here and kind of spinning around as you go and pull. And pull very slowly. If you go too fast, it will start bunching up and getting into a little knot or something. So very slowly, and let the rest just hang down and pull it. It was a little too fast. See what I mean? So it starts bunching up here. So I want to go back a little bit and remove that bunch. So once it happens and you were too fast, just go up a little more. Very slowly. And you see this hanging down. The rest of it will just dance around. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we always tend to do everything quickly, but in this part, you know, you want to do slow, and not quick. So, and then since you have that out already, you can do the next one and the next, you know, so it lasts for quite a while. Just be careful, be slow, and be gentle. And then when you come towards the end, the last few inches, you just pull this and let that straighten out again. So here is my bunch of 5, and this is my bunch. This is my single one here. So then I can put in the needle and use it. So this is a very good preparation for the next few weeks of classes, where we will use a lot of embroidery thread and different kinds of needles. Sometimes we use 2, sometimes 1, sometimes the whole 6. So this is basically it. You will see that your braid itself has some longer ones left. You know, all those ends that were a little too long to wrap around another time, and I leave those because sometimes it's really good to have an extra long or an extra short. Then I can cut that. So that's it. My name is Edith Schneider and I am the German tailor. Not only because Schneider means tailor and everything I teach comes with a German accent, but because I am a tailor and I am German. I created that YouTube channel that is mostly about textile art and design and garment construction and pattern making. So if you like what you see, please share, like, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.